What's going on, traders? Hope everybody had a great Thursday. It is June 22nd. Man, this month is really flying by. And we are looking here at the daily chart. Of course, we always start at the macro. But before we get into it, friendly reminder that this video is for educational and entertainment purposes only. I thank you so much for joining me on these videos, and I really appreciate it. Now, we were talking about that potentiality of a green day today, and we got just that. Markets were up just slightly, about $1.55 in the green, 0.36%. Final print coming in at 436.51. And the 9-period moving average, which we were watching yesterday, which was basically right at 435, did show some support. We briefly came under today and then popped back over as the buy the dip, quote unquote, has happened again. And you can see here this nice double bottom right on this June 14th candle. Was supported today, and we did get a close over that hourly 9, over that daily 9 at 435.26. It has moved up just a little bit since our last video, but we have not broken the downtrend, so we are still going to be cognizant of that. And we were talking about that potentiality that if we got a green day, that it's possible that we're really bigger picture just forming a type of a bear flag here. But we'll have to see if the bulls are able to invalidate that and really get us back over that 438, 45, 50 zone. And that would be a much better confirmation for the bulls that they are out of this little gully that they are currently in. We still have Momo showing a little bit of weakness here after really getting those extreme overbought signals, but we don't really have any development, just kind of a slowdown in momentum, but no green yet. And really, being up in this area is technically a bit unhealthy, but as I'm sure if you've been in the market for any amount of time, I think this custom indicator is better than RSI, but anybody that's tried to make a trade off of just one indicator alone knows that, at least as far as RSI, oversold and overbought is concerned, that we can stay oversold or overbought for way longer than usually traders can say solvent. So I am keeping an eye on it, but I never make trades just off of one indicator, as I've said many times. Price action is king at the end of the day. So let's be conscientious of this potential bear flag, see how that develops. But let's run into some of our other macro trends. That's how we always start, at the bigger picture, and then work our way down. But overall, really not too much to go over today, so we'll try to keep it short and sweet for you. Let's look at the daily trends here, and you can see very nicely where this secondary major bull pivot did end up holding for the bulls, and pretty much a double bottom right here off that June 14th candle, the low, and pretty much came right into it today. And that's where we got some buyers to come in and push us up higher. We are closing just barely over this trend line here, but I'd like to see another candle up and confidently over it, and then hopefully get that test back into this zone here, our first major bull pivot that we have lost. So I think that's going to be the real confirmation, bigger picture, to guide us as far as this slight downtrend being over, but it has yet to be seen so far. So really, bigger picture over that 438, 40, 45, that kind of general zone. Seeing over that would be the most ideal situation for the for the bulls. And bears really need to break this secondary pivot before they really have any more hope at seeing continued selling. I'm just going to stretch these out as we're moving along in the price and time. Okay, So let's see what happens tomorrow. It will be interesting to see if we can start to get a candle up above this trend line and then maybe make a run for this area. If we get over this major pivot, I'd be of the opinion it'd be likely that we'd come ahead and fill that gap up to around 439.50, 439.55, 439.40, just somewhere in that zone. And then we've got that big 440 to deal with, and after that, that can drive us higher up into the 442 area, just taking it level to level right into this next trend, right? One thing I have to mention here that we didn't quite take out this red day candle, but we got pretty close, right? We didn't pierce it. Ideally, I think the bulls would have liked to have seen this green candle completely overshadow this last red one. We did not quite get there, and there is, of course, the potentiality that we see some chop still as we try to work out balance in the auction. So we could just run sideways, but if we see some relative strength in some of the big cap tech like we saw today, Microsoft was up pretty decently. Amazon had a hell of a day, being up almost 4.5%. And Apple, of course, was up 1.6%. So let's see if that rally continues in those major high beta names. It could help us propel us higher, and it would be nice to see maybe a Friday trendy. Okay, that's also on my watch as well. But we're really going to have to see if we can get over, and really most confidently, if we got over this area, I think we'd start to see a bit of that squeeze. But it's very possible that we have to make another nice move up to this 438 zone tomorrow, and hopefully get over, and then maybe see that continued action up to that 440. But bears really need to take out this swing low, break this key bear pivot. So, and if they do, then potentially we can see that selling back down. And we were talking about looking into this 20 period moving average for a potential target to the downside. If not, we might just come into this trend line here, maybe break below, recapture, and then come up higher. But still, some dip buy opportunities may be in the works for us if we do sell off lower. If we do start to break below this 430 here, I'll get a little bit more confident in the short trade, and then we'll look for lower prices coming down into, depending on when we do, coming down into 428. And then if we break that, coming down. And actually, let me expand this top of the megaphone for us as another key area that we have been watching as far as a bullish structure that the bears would need to take out to really have hope in the to see more selling. So try to expand it for us. Okay, let's see. So we want to keep an eye on this area as well, as the final last stand for the bulls if we do start to see some selling. And of course, we're looking at a daily chart here, so this is more macro. The targets are going to be a bit wider, but this is just the bigger picture kind of stuff that I'm watching. But nice confluence here in this area here. If we get some selling into this zone, could produce some nice opportunities for us to go long if we do come down here. But this area is going to be the first target at that 430 that really is going to need to be taken out before we can even start to look at these lower prices. However, still we need to be aware of these bigger macro areas, and that's going to help us really have that overall plan and know how to react if we are seeing some major selling coming into the issue, and everybody's panic selling, and then your macro, and you say, oh well, we're just coming into this next major bull pivot, maybe I would like to try a long or look for a break below and recapture, and then trigger along as well, because the bulls still have the ball in their court from the bigger picture perspective. Okay. All right, so let's get into some of the price action today, and then we will look ahead of what we're thinking tomorrow. Let's look at the day trading fibs here, and let me get out of, I guess we can stay on this. That's fine. Whoops. Let's come up here. Okay. So today, really nothing with the fibs that really would have indicated us having a bounce here, other than that double bottom. I did not buy directly. I was talking about that yesterday. I didn't feel too comfortable with it, but it certainly was a nice trade as we came into this area and was supported a third time. I did get some longs today though and played them, but you can see here right on the fibs, I mean pretty much now we've done a double top, right, equal highs here right at the 20 excuse me, around at the 38.2 extension, and that's pretty much where we found some sellers to come into the issue and start to pull us back a little bit. So, you know, I mentioned that there's the potentiality that we continue really to chop here just between the 28 and the 50. We're going to go over the range here in a moment that we have been watching, but let's see if this hourly POC can hold 436. We'll call it 435.95. That zone, nice confluence here with the 20 period moving average on the hourly. And I think if that starts to break and get below, then we can start to look for some shorts to possibly come back down into the lower part of this range. And first target, if I was shorting under the hourly 20 break, probably be looking into that 434.80 zone. And then taking most off there, and then seeing about coming and retesting down by these 434 area. But as long as we're really holding 436 and the top of these highs that we saw breached today. Try to zoom in here. So we watching this yeah, I mean, it pretty much lines up with what I said now that I'm zoomed in a little bit closer. But these highs from around 11 o'clock today, that base that we broke out of, pretty much lines up with that 436, 435, just under that 95 zone. So I'll be watching that as definitely a key area that we're going to need to be holding over. But I will say tomorrow, if we break out over this 437 zone, I think that could set us up pretty nicely for a move and have the potentiality to come back into that 439, 439.50, and then ultimately that 440 like we were talking about before. So maybe do we get the Friday trendy, right? We haven't had a trend day all week really. It's anybody's guess, but it's something that I am going to be watching for, especially if we start to clear these equal highs here, and really start to push above, and then we'll be looking for those upside targets that we were talking about just a moment ago. So let's just close it off with the range that we've been watching, and we had some bull targets, we had some bear targets on our plate, and unfortunately, well, only unfortunately because I wasn't able to participate in it, but the first bear target, I said, you know, we were talking yesterday, if we start to break below this range and stay under it, that this would be the first area I would be looking to take some of those profits off the table. And we actually did that in Globex before the market was open, but look how beautifully that 433 area 60 held for us. And this kind of goes into again being prepared. Not that I ever really trade the open directly, but I know some people do like that opening drive trade. And if you were prepared and had these levels marked off for you, that it could have been potentially a trade you would have been able to react to and take along here and see some pretty nice gains overall in the market. But I don't trade the open like that, you know, especially on options. Sometimes I'll do it on futures, but not too much on options, as I like to have that IV kind of settle and let price kind of tell me what she wants to do. before I make any rash decisions, right? So I'm usually waiting at least 30 minutes to 45 minutes, sometimes even an hour or more, just depending on the price delivery, before I even go ahead and initialize a trade and decide to engage the markets, right? So, we'll be watching this here. We'll be watching that, under that this swing low, certainly we could see some more selling coming into the issue. Now, we only really made it halfway, right, into the range that had been established before. So as I was mentioning, that 437 zone, if we can start to get over that, that really might open up the door for us to come into the upper parts of the range tomorrow and see a bit of a trend up into there, and that would be nice. But I'll be fully prepared if we do start to break below the range again to potentially look for that short side trade. But we do have value area low here around 434.29, so I will be watching that, as that area could be supported. And I'm going to need a really nice confirmation break under this low, really, to get interested in that short trade. But if we do break below this range again, I'll be somewhat interested, but I'll be taking it very, very cautiously if I do at all. I can't deny that bigger picture, as we were going over before, the bulls are still in control. So I still am overall kind of focusing more on those potential dip buys rather than trying to short for 20% or 5 points on futures or something like that, which are great trades. I mean, I'll take a 5 point win on ES. You certainly can make some decent money. And, there's nothing wrong with the 20% winner. Personally, it's just not really my style. And I'm looking for those bigger moves in the market where I can really ride a trend. And that's when, that's the trading that I enjoy personally the most. So same thing, if you didn't watch the video yesterday, I kind of went over, how I trade these ranges. So we'll see if we can get over that 50% line. And then potentially look to the upper part of the range. But if not, we could just chop around as well, and breaking these swing lows below 433.45, we'll call it, for that next target down at that 432 area. But I will be very cognizant of value area lows here, as that could be supported. And let's just go back really quickly and take a look at the hourly and just see where that value area low is. Okay, it's just below our secondary bear target at 431.60. So if we break below here and then recapture, could be another opportunity for a nice trade. The direct trade, of course, is there, but it's a little bit more risky. But that is also another idea as well. So, and we went over really the bear target, the bull targets up above here have all really stayed the same. So no real change for me as far as that. And when I made this, I had this at 440.06, but my OCD will now not let me keep that, so I'm just going to bring it back to the 4400, and we're watching that level again because this is this low that would need to be recaptured from here. But the downtrend still is intact with the high, lower high, lower high, lower high, now an equal high. So kind of flattening out, and one could even make a little bit of a argument right here for head, shoulder. And we haven't really come down into it, but maybe potential, if we start to sell down a little bit more, maybe that potential inverted head and shoulders that sets us up for the move, neckline being pretty much that 50% retrace of the range here. So watch that neckline if we do end up forming that inverted head and shoulders. It's not the cleanest by any standards, but something that's catching my eye that maybe you want to say this is the shoulder. Either way, it's kind of ugly, but I'll be watching either way that 437 very intently to see if we break over, retest, and then we see those moves back up to the top here. So short and sweet today. I hope that the videos are being helpful. A subscription would mean a ton to me. Hitting that like button really helps pushing out these videos to a wider audience with that tricky YouTube algorithm. So I really appreciate it. I hope I am providing content that is helpful for you guys as we navigate these markets together. I wish you the best of luck in your trading tomorrow. Follow your rules, follow your plan. It's Friday. Let's not give back any gains. Trying to be a hero last day of a short week and live to trade another day. All right, take care and have a good rest of your evening.